host, Rowdy.
Hey guys, my name's Curt Ozon.
And I'm Nicky T.
And welcome our esteemed guest, Flatland Cavalry, Jason Cleto. Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Thanks for doing this with us, boys.
Glad to be here.
A very special anniversary episode.
Yeah.
10 years in the making, they might say.
10
Of
years.
Flatland Cavalry.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We have that poster that we haven't hung on the wall yet that's behind you from a show.
That would be...
This is, it's almost evidence of the 10-year thing, but it's like a year after,
Yeah.
a couple years after the first show.
And the special
Yeah.
guest, look at that.
Caitlin Butts.
Caitlin Butts.
Yep. A guy
Outstanding.
named Dirk Fowler made this poster. He does posters for, like, everyone at the time. Like, he had his website, like Janet Jackson.
Willie
Nelson.
Nelson.
Yeah.
And he's based out of Lubbock,
Nice.
which is cool just because it's such an isolated place that you don't find a lot of people, you know, just doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Dude, that poster's great. We got it. Nando, like, found some, I guess. And Kurt, he was like, give one to Kurt. And Kurt was like, can I have one for Nick? And now it's here in the studio.
Very cool, dude.
Yeah. We're going to be
Thanks for letting
rearranging a little. So we're going to put some of the show posters that are here. We're going to have some, like, neons that we got.
Very nice.
And then we're going to move some of the show posters, like, over here and over here. So we're going to have you guys. I just had that one in my room before, so.
It's an honor to
Tore
be
it
a
down
part
for
of all
this.
the other cool ones. I know you get to see a lot of cool shows and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
so that's
Dude,
really
it's
rad.
it's been super fun. This studio is great too because it's like, you know, it's pretty legit now. You know, instead of Kurt's bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Extra
True. Yeah.
which is I assumed that it was there, so my apologies for
Oh,
being
no, you're
late.
good,
But
man.
this
Yeah.
is this is really cool. I'm happy
Premium
for
out here.
Yeah.
Yes.
It actually worked out well too because we were supposed to do another podcast after you guys, but it canceled. So,
We have all the time.
yeah, all the time in the world.
Very cool. Do you just come out here sometimes and just talk
Like
to
to
yourself?
myself?
Yeah.
I mean,
It does sound nice in the
it
ears.
does sound. The
It does,
stereo
it
is
does.
kind of nice. I haven't done that yet, but we're talking about doing like forward-facing content here, which would be just me talking to myself.
Got
so
you.
I probably eventually will come here and do that.
Just like monologue straight into the camera, just like a full
Vagina
like,
monologue.
Well,
Yes.
not like for short form.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Where we talk about like just some of the industry terms. Like if you're not from Nashville or you're not like heavily involved in the music scene, like do you know what a writer's round is? You know, so like kind of like little stuff like that, and then just like instead of doing an article, kind of turning that article into short form content. So it's like if there's like we used to do one called like 5 bands you might not know but should about like folks that we think are cool. We're thinking about like doing those in short form content. You know,
It's like NPR for, you know, the scene.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's like I haven't been writing as much on the website. Like historically, I was like before there was any other writers, it was me. So, but since we've been like hosting events and having the podcast and stuff, so I think that's a good like kind of like segue between like the actual writing of the articles and what I was covering when I was writing all of those articles. You know what I mean? And just a way that we can try to help grow our socials a little bit. So, because it's always hard. I mean, you guys know, when there's a moment that pops, it's great, but it's hard to find those moments.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just working on that. I'm gonna make Kurt do some too, probably, where he plays luxurious guitar and stuff.
I'll do it. I'll shred for
Yeah.
the internet.
Kurt's Corner.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take a third of that.
Yeah.
So 10 years, boys. Crazy.
Insane.
You're 10 years into a 10-year town. Hello, Haley.
Right.
So you started a band 10 years ago, and then now 10 years later, right? So after 10 years, you guys are headlining your first arena show, right?
Yes, we
Yeah,
just announced that yesterday.
amazing.
Over in Fort Worth, Texas at Dickey's Arena, ringing in 2025 on New Year's Eve.
So it'll be a year from this December. Is that right?
No. It'll be
this
this
December.
coming.
Okay, so it'll be this December 31st in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yes. And I'm hoping that we're on stage at like 12:01. That would be kind of cool.
I feel like
I
you
don't
could
know.
definitely
Be in
schedule
bed
it
by
that
out.
happen.
12:01.
Yeah, we could be. Yeah, maybe.
Play our first show of 25.
There you go.
Ah.
Is the plan to? I mean, have you guys thought about the logistics of that yet? Is it going to be like we're playing like till midnight, or have not even gotten there yet?
No, hadn't thought about that far ahead as just yet. But I imagine it'll be like that show will be. Our show always is currently like an amalgamation of all the things we've learned and done, and like new songs, new moments, whatever have you. So I imagine that even 6 months from now, it's going to be even cooler and more
Yeah.
special and stuff. And our album artwork for Wandering Star features the windmill or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was telling our production guy Tyler about how one of these days I wanted to play an arena, and I just envisioned like a windmill on the stage or something like that, and it's already the windmills came to be, you know, sooner than that, but I think like it's finally gonna, like, stuff like that starting to just pop up.
Yeah, all the production,
it's happening.
all the dreaming is kind of like coming to fruition.
Mm-hmm. The manifestation has begun.
Nick and I saw the windmill live in Athens,
Georgia.
Yeah, on Boof's birthday.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a great day too. Side story there. It was, like you said, it was Adam, our keyboard player and utility player's birthday, and Cleto had just walked down the sidewalk, getting his steps in, and he met an artist. What was her name? Do you remember?
It eludes me at this moment.
Either way, he commissioned an awesome portrait.
Kristen
Ryan, sweet lady, that he commissioned this portrait that she knocked out in just a couple hours.
She worked on it overnight. We had 2 nights at the theater, so right. Yeah, she worked on it all night, and then she brought it to after sound check the following day, and she just like stayed up late, and she's like, I can. Yeah, she had a bunch of like art set up on the sidewalk and stuff, and I just was like kind of drawn to her. Or I noticed like she was painting and stuff, but whenever I walked by, like she like looked up and like smiled with her eyes. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna swing by and see what's up. And she started taking me to her, and she was set up on the sidewalk, but in like on the foyer or whatever. And forgive me, I feel like Bobby Boucher trying to tell a story right now. So anyways, yeah, she like opens the two doors, and there's this huge warehouse building, and she has all this stuff that she's painted and people, and she's like, I specialize in people. And so I just got that hunch like you're describing of like, hey, it's Adam's birthday, there's lemons, let's make some lemonade with this. And so I asked her if she could do that in that amount of time. She said yeah, and then she was texting me all day, I've been listening to y'all's music, I love it, and whatever have you. And yeah, she showed up the next day with this awesome picture of Adam, who we call Boofy, and our band. Hopefully you guys can use your production magic and like put a picture of it right here.
Yeah.
If you can see this, yeah. So, and yeah, it was one of those just random things that happens on a show day.
Yeah.
The webs you weave out there.
Cleto's a great gift giver. He gave me a steel drum for my birthday last year, and he's just always thinking about people. But the funniest thing about that photo to me was she's bringing, like, remember those old like 3D glasses with like red and blue and made paper, made out of paper. She had like a ton of those. I'm like, what's going on here? And it's actually a 3D painting.
Whoa! I was going to ask what the medium was.
It was oil on canvas, I think, like all that stuff, and but she did it in such a way where it was right at you.
It's crazy.
And it was...
Whoa.
Yeah.
Boof, it's like you're in 3D, man.
Yeah. And just knowing Boof, it's even funnier.
Yeah. It's brilliant. I love it. I can't wait to see it. That was a killer show, man. That was a great night.
It was so much fun.
And I think, when you are at the Georgia Theater, after you get drunk, you have to go to Waffle House, which we did, and had a great time doing that too. That was awesome.
The one that's just like right there, like a skip away.
Yeah.
I didn't make that one, but I heard they were like started singing or something. They sing "Missing You" or something, like some of the people in there.
Well, we were sitting there and eating with Colby, and these drunk girls came up and just started singing, "I'm a dying breed, what you get?" And he was like, okay,
cool.
I have a video of it on my phone somewhere.
But they sang multiple songs, like you were talking about. Definitely Flatland songs too. It was very interesting, but very fun.
Oh, very joyous.
Yeah, it was cool.
They're just like Southern hibachi out there, man. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, for sure.
I love to hear that. I took Caitlin to the Taylor Swift concert when she came into town for the Eras tour.
Yeah,
and there was a 3-hour rain delay, and there was people singing all of her songs like underneath the awning as we were waiting for the longest time. It's totally organic too, and just felt like it's gonna be okay.
Well, I noticed your bracelet that you're wearing.
Yeah, a fan threw this at me at a show at a time when I was needing to be have a little more gratitude in my life. So I feel like kind of found me. But it says grateful, and I keep it where I can read it.
Yeah.
To just
I was texting you the address of our Raise Rowdy headquarters, and the last thing I had texted you was string for friendship bracelets. I noticed. So I saw that. I'm like, I wonder if Caitlin made that or not. No, but a fan threw it on there. Well, shout out to the fan who tossed that, and hopefully they can see this.
Yeah.
Super cool. Little things like that, like moments, or stuff like you're talking about, like when you need it. It just seems like the world kind of will give that to you,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think as long as your eyes are open, your heart's open to whatever's happening in the moment, you know, anything's possible for sure.
Yeah.
I got it. May I tell another story like that?
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly what you're
Tell
describing.
every story, dude.
Yeah.
I'm already here.
I was in Mile Zero as Caitlin's guest. She was playing this festival in Key West, Florida, and Flatland was off, and so I just went as her +1. And we had a good time, did like the late night karaoke thing, and afterwards we're kind of hungry and
Been there with Nick in Key West for sure.
good dude. So yeah, you know, it's lively, it's fun, but it was the end of the night and kind of like looking for like a late night bite, and so I walked across the street to this like a convenience store that made sandwiches and stuff, and the lady was, as we walked in, was putting up all the sandwich elements, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be that guy and ask her for one, but I was like, will you at least sell me some bread? And she was like, oh, absolutely. And so I bought some bread and some cheese, and then we leave the little store, we have a couple bottles of water, and we see like a hot dog stand across the street, and our eyes are like, yes, you know. As soon as we walk up to it, man, just like a movie, like all these people walk away like with their shoulders hanging low, just all sad. And I'm like, what's going on? And there was like 2 hot dogs grilling there, and I said, are those for sale? And he goes, yeah, but we don't have any bread.
Oh.
And I was like, yes, dude. And so
Superhero.
the universe provided a glorious magical hot dog, glizzy as we call it. So yeah, we kept our eyes open, got the bread. The guy provided the dogs, and we just walked home and ate the hot dogs. It was like it was probably the coolest story I have about a hot dog.
Wow, what a blessing.
Yeah.
Man, that's like I always talk about it. Like, there's so many things that happen, and it seems like everything's coincidence. But it's also, I feel like, about the energy that you put into the world. Oftentimes, that'll come back. You know,
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if you're a good person and you're looking for stuff like that and willing to share, then you're going to get it right back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's a beautiful thing. It's Key West is one of those magical places too, where it seems like anything could kind of happen. Usually does, I guess. You know.
You get Duval faced on shit street.
Yeah.
Ah.
The first time Kurt and I went down there was for Songwriters Festival, and we had a freaking blast.
We had a big time for
Yeah,
sure.
it was very fun.
Has anyone ever chased after the chickens or roosters? Not saying that I have, but I've just wondered if that's, you know, probably got to be a national pastime.
Oh, sure.
Over there.
I was
you know?
thinking of like Zelda, like when you like hit the chickens too much and they all like come and attack you.
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
talking
On
about?
Majora's Mask, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They have chickens in
Nerds.
Fortnite that will attack you if you mess with them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the same applies to Key West.
Key West, yeah.
Yeah.
Or chickens in general, you know.
Yeah. They'll get you.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
It's crazy too because those chickens look so different than the chickens you see that are made to be like produced to eat. You know,
Oh, yeah.
They're like a real life bird that is like, you know,
Can
developed
walk
itself.
without broken
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah, they don't look like what's that one cartoon, Foghorn Leghorn?
Yeah.
I'll say with the big breast. You know, it's like no, they're just like regular chickens,
Yeah.
man.
It's strange to see that, but it's super cool. I think that's one of the coolest parts about Key West, though, is like that you see those chickens, and then I guess iguanas too. You'll see them.
Oh, yeah.
They try to get the iguanas out of there, but they leave the chickens. You know.
I heard they're infesting Florida, the iguanas, and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's
For
you,
sure.
being from Florida, Kurt. I don't
Yeah.
know if you had any.
Oh, I would have them like by my pool growing up. There would just be iguanas sunbathing, which is a trip.
Crazy.
Now I don't even see lizards anymore. I feel like in Tennessee.
No, not often.
Yeah.
I mean armadillos you'll see here, but those
Yeah.
aren't real lizards, you know.
I hadn't caught an armadillo here yet.
Up here? Yeah, I've seen a few. Well, there was none in Pennsylvania, so like I didn't like know where they started. You know, I knew they were in Texas. And
Yeah.
they were around there, but I didn't realize that they were like down here till I saw one, and I was like, oh crap, there's armadillos here, because I'd never like ran into one in the wild before, being from like Western Pennsylvania. You know?
Well, don't catch one because they give leprosy.
Yeah,
Can
They can. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not good.
What are
Yeah,
they
I've never
eating
had
that's giving them leprosy?
I don't know.
Leopards? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Maybe
I said
they're the
that.
ones that started it back in the day. You never know. You know, I think it's like it's like diseases like that. It doesn't affect certain animals the same ways. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like
raccoons and distemper.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sadness. Well, raccoons can get distemper, but humans don't get it.
What is distemper?
It's like some fatal disease that happens to raccoons.
Do they get like does their temper become
Very bad. Yes, it becomes dis. They start making fun of you.
Telling your mama jokes
Yeah.
on the fence.
Oh man. Well, so you guys on tour this year.
Yeah.
We got to see you, of course. I guess was that last year or earlier this year?
No, it was this year.
Earlier this year.
When was
Time's flying by.
the Georgia show in Athens?
I
I
think
think
like
that was March.
yeah, March or
Yeah.
February, yeah, sometime.
We road tripped down for that, and Kurt had the bright idea that we should smoke cigars in the car on the way down. Probably
idea.
probably
How'd that
not
go?
his best idea. He was like, "Should we smoke cigars in the car?" I'm like,
It's your car.
It's
Yeah.
your car. How much do you want your car to smell like
Like
cigars?
windows up.
We had the windows down, but not the whole way.
But the silver lining is when universe, you keep your nostrils open.
Yeah.
Then we were driving back the next day. I was a little hungover. Nick was fine. And as you know, sometimes I'm hungover after a Flatland show. And we're driving back like, man, my car smells like tobacco. And then I just had this idea. I'm like, Western white pine scent is what we need. And so I texted Colby's manager. I'm like, you guys need to make Jared. I'm like, you guys need to make those trees because we went to the gas station, bought the tree. What do you call those little
black
trees?
ice ones that smell
Yeah,
like you were smoking Swishers in your car. Even
smell like black ice.
yeah.
And I'm like, you guys need to make Western white pine scented air fresheners. And so now they are.
Yep. And I made the Western White Pines. I put that into the robot machine and said, make a Western White Pine air freshener that says Colby Acuff. And they basically used that same design and redid it. So it looks very similar to the one they used.
Crazy.
That's
AI.
funny.
Dang.
Yeah. The robots, bro. God
Using
bless them,
AI, that's amazing.
Or not. I don't know. Yeah.
Just to go back to the arena thing real quick, just because I just popped in my head. That's not the arena that we did our first show together, right? Was that in San Antonio?
That was in San Antonio.
that was AT&T San Antonio. It's where the Spurs play. I believe.
Okay, so Flatland opened for Luke because whoever we had couldn't make it or something. What's the story there?
The story I'm familiar with that Cappy told me is whenever I first got to know him was that it was like they'd selected 10 bands at least to be candidates, and like 5 from Texas, 5 from outside of Texas and stuff, and for whatever reason it dwindled down to this band Flatland got brought up. I'm not sure who put the name in the hat, but he said he started listening to our stuff. He's like, oh, I like that song, and then went to the next one. He's like, I like that too. Mm-hmm. And I think he was like 3 or 4 in. He realized he liked every tune. He was like, I'm intrigued. Like, let's give it to these guys. And I remember when that came across our desk. Yeah, we were like, it may have been 6 months prior. Like it was the middle of summer of 19, I guess that was.
Yeah, I believe.
And so I remember we got that news. Our manager at the time told us, man, you're going to get to open up for Luke Combs in December and an arena. And we're like, oh my gosh. And we're doing a lot more now than we were back then. Like as far as like just being professional and playing the gig and like, doing our best and stuff. At the time, I think we're weary, road worn, tired, being a little sloppy at the time. And our tour manager at the time, Dylan, we played a show in Portland. He like set us aside afterwards and goes, dude, you're going to open up for Luke Combs 6 months from now. And if you're going to do what you just did tonight, like you guys, don't even waste your time or whatever. He really like kind of dadded us for a second and whipped us into shape. And so we started getting our crap together and, really had intention going into that show. And I remember we played it, and I think there was like a chaotic moment that had happened on stage where like we had extra time, and our production guys, Tyler's like, you got more time, play another song. And I'm looking back at Jason, and Jason's like, he was really the quarterback in that moment, just directing traffic. And
Do we play Stomping Grounds maybe? And
I just think we
extra-
just jammed extra long
Yeah.
on Devil Off My Back. And like we didn't do another song.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went rogue there, and that's what I love about moments like that is like we had prepared enough that like we were, when the unpreparables happen and things happen and you're walking the tightrope, everyone just like does what, you do your best, And so like we did our best, our crew did our best, and then we parted ways with our manager the following January, and Cappy had called like 20 minutes after that because I think all the things had kind of worked in our favor of taking it seriously, doing our job, whatever have you. But I'm really glad that we had that opportunity because then we would have probably never got to hang out and drink beers and
I have
stuff.
this like extremely vivid memory of you guys being on stage, and I was standing at Monitor World and watching y'all, and I see it in my head. I just didn't remember what arena it was, but it's just like I just remember it. It was just like because it's like we weren't we were doing headlining arena shows with Luke, but it was like I didn't know anything about Texas country at all. Like I didn't know you can name, like, I don't know who Pat Green was or whatever. I'm like, George Strait, I know who that is. I don't know who Flatland was, like, nothing. And, like, I didn't grow up on country anyway, so y'all were, like, really, like, my first foray into that whole world. And then when I went and played with y'all in College Station, that was, like, the real intro.
That's right. Because what was it? It was COVID era. We were still able to do a handful of shows, and we had just cut "Welcome to Countryland," right? And we had thrown some steel guitar on that album, and we befriended Kurt, and you came on the road over in College Station for 2 nights. Got to know you.
Was it 2 or 3?
It might have been 3. Yeah, because it was
Lower capacity.
Low capacity COVID era stuff, but and that was great too, and got to know you. Yeah,
I still have the board tape in my email.
Nice.
And I listened to it the other day. I'm like, I wonder. The other day I was like, the other day is probably like a year ago or something. But like, I went and listened to it. I was like, I wonder like how we sounded, and it sounded badass, dude. Sweet. And a board tape is not like something that usually sounds good. It's like as raw as it could be, like. No reverb in the room. You can't hear the crowd as much. And if you sound good on the board tape, then you crushed it live. And it sounded awesome.
And you know who was the opener one of those nights was Corey Kent.
Yes.
He was just coming out. And I just remember seeing him. I think he had a John Mayer cover of some sorts. It's like, this guy is really good. He'll go somewhere. And, man, we saw him last Thursday over in Florida. And just crushing it.
Dude, their live show is great now, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been great.
Here's also a funny story with that. Is I brought my camera with me, and because I, would like to do concert photography and photograph all the openers, and it was Corey Kent, Matt Castillo, and Mason. Was it Mason? What's that cat's name?
Lively?
Mason Lively, I think, was the third one. Am I making that up?
No, sounds right.
Okay, and so I was photographing Corey, and then later on, now our bass player with Luke is Matt Maxwell. And he was like, yeah, the first time I met you was in College Station when you were playing with Flatland. I was like, what? Like, I don't even remember that. And I went back to my Dropbox, and I was looking at my pictures, and I took a million photos of him playing bass. And he's got a tattoo on his hand of a bass clef, and like I zoomed in on it, and I was like, super small world. And that's all the way in Texas before Matt even moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
Enjoying Luke's band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Crazy.
Webs you weave.
The webs we weave.
He filled in with us too for a show when Johnny couldn't be there, and he was so fantastic.
Sure
So awesome.
Dude, I was following that dude all day. He's just making runs like Willie Weeks, dude.
Yeah.
Just in the knees, like he's fantastic. Love you, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of, I guess, how I met you guys is from that San Antonio show.
Well, I remember seeing you guys on that show, just like on the roster, and I was like, that's sick, Flatland. Because, I mean, you guys were my number 1 listened to band in 2019 on Spotify.
Dude,
Get out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
For real. So that was like before I like knew you guys, of course. I wasn't even in Nashville yet. I was still back in Pittsburgh. Wow. So I moved to town at the end of 2020. And we actually told this on the last podcast, but the first night that we did the radio show, you popped over to Kurt's house.
That's right. And you were burning stuff in the backyard?
Yep. We were burning cardboard boxes and some wood.
Stuff.
And some other stuff.
It wasn't wood.
Some other stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I was like, I remember Kurt was like, yeah, Cleto's coming over. And I was like, Cleto's coming over? Like, Cleto? And he's like, yes. I was like, oh, so he's going to hear us germ on him and talk about Flatland on the radio show. So it was just like, for me coming from, I mean, I've been doing podcasts and stuff in Pittsburgh, but like really that was like when I was first moving, like in Nashville, just got here. And I think you kind of just got there too.
Yeah.
So it was
I
just
don't
like,
think you had moved to town.
no, you weren't here yet. Or maybe you were.
Maybe I
and we
was.
didn't know you.
I'd been here since Thanksgiving 2020. And,
Oh, so you were then.
So either
Yeah.
way, I'd
Yep.
come over there, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Either
was
way.
just like so weird for me because I was just doing this editorial radio show in Pittsburgh and playing music I liked,
Yeah.
And it was like we just played it because we played it, and Kurt was like, "This is sick," and it was like, "Yeah." He had already had the stories of you guys like playing and things like that, but so full circle for me, and just like. I remember texting my friends being like, yo, I just was at the campfire listening to my own radio show playing Flatland Cavalry with the lead singer of Flatland Cavalry. Just like a little kid,
I love moments like that when you're in a new
Insane.
town, new place, and every turn is brand new.
Yeah.
Every person that you meet is like it's an enlightening feeling.
Yeah.
Almost makes you feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
In
Totally.
terms, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you guys played at Marathon and Jake Worthington was opening for you guys.
Oh yeah.
I was over at Big Loud. That's like kind of right when I started at Big Loud. I was there for like a year and a half. And I was there, and my boss was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I've had tickets for this for months." And she's like, "Oh, you're just here as a fan?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like music, you know." But it was like so weird. It's like the industry is so different, and it's like one of the things that I like try to tell myself is like I never want to lose that side of myself where I am a fan, you know, because I love music, and that's what brought me to Nashville. I don't ever want to like get to where I can't enjoy a show in the crowd and like be around other people that love this music as much as I do, you know. That's really what like fills my heart the most, is having other people singing along to all the words of all the songs that I love too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Dude, well
It's
said.
amazing. Yeah.
Who are you all fangirling over recently? I know you just went and saw, I'm going to forget her name, but Red Wine.
Chapel Roan.
Yeah. How was that?
It was awesome. It was the Crystal Pistol, our booking agent, Henry Glasscock, helped me out. Got me on the guest list.
That was cool.
And we got there, and it was like the line wrapped around twice, and everyone's in costumes, and like really excited to be there. And I thought I might get stabbed for trying to cut to the front of the line, because I went to the front asking the front person about will call and stuff, and she's like, "Once you get your tickets, you can come straight to the front." But I mean, dude, people were like, they were chomping at the bit to see Chapel. So
Where was it at?
St. Pete, Florida.
Okay.
At Janice Live.
Cool.
Flatland had just played there like 3 weeks before.
Nice.
So,
Great spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Love
beautiful
St. Pete.
place. Yeah, so chill.
So you and Caitlin just flew down there for a vacation?
It was her birthday, and that's we had to reschedule the first time. It's because
Right.
that concert just happened like kind of last minute. You know, keeping your eyes open as we're talking about, and making stuff happen. It's like that happened, and so yeah, she's a mega fan of Chaperone. I'm a big fan too. But yeah, you start talking about artists and stuff that we're listening to.
That's
Yeah.
one of them. Huh?
Yeah, she's one. What about
Yeah.
you, Boog?
I like that funky shit. I like that groovy stuff. And
Drummer stuff.
Krugabin? How am I saying it right? Krugabin? In some different language, it means airplane, I think. It's just a trio, not just a trio. It's a trio that just more or less has a wall of sound of just the easiest listening, like going about your day, bobbing your head stuff. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I remember us listening to Michael McDonald a ton on the road.
Yeah, we probably were some Doobie Brothers.
Yeah.
Man, a wise man, a guy named Wade Bowen out of Texas.
Lovely.
Great singer, songwriter, great band, everything. And when we first started out 10 years ago, we had opened for him, and he said, "Study the greats, just listen to the greats." So that's kind of where my ear usually goes to. But like Bill Withers. Been listening to the Stones because I didn't listen to the Rolling Stones as a kid,
I was a
unfortunately.
Beatles guy for sure.
Yeah,
Their new record's awesome.
I haven't listened to it. Yeah,
It's great. I'm like, these dudes are 80 and they're ripping.
Yes, in every sense of the word, in
Yeah.
all areas of life.
The ripping and the tearing. Yeah, they crushed me, man. And then it's just like, that's awesome. I think like I find myself, I listen to a ton of new music just by doing the podcast stuff, but like I listen to like really popular bands a lot. Like I'm not like I'm obsessed with this obscure thing. I'm like
I like the
Metallica, they're awesome, or the Beatles or something, you know.
I've been singing that one song. Liz has got me on Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
That espresso song.
Oh, have you seen the
And-
music video?
Yes, I have. Also in like a film noir, like Italian. You know, very vibey, very good. It's
Song of
kind
the
of
summer.
it's cool to see like the
Maybe.
pop artists come back, like Britney Spears and
Yeah.
Christina Aguilera when we were kids, and it just kind of feels the same way.
It's-
So she's great.
The version of nostalgia right now, I talked to Kurt about this. I'm like, we're back in like the 2000s, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we're back in
Yep.
it. So it's like, I don't know if you guys saw the new Eminem video, Houdini, but
Heard about it.
heard about it.
the
Yeah.
video is great. It's first of all, it's hilarious. He's like making fun of everyone, but he's also making fun of himself in it, which I love.
He makes
Like,
fun of his kids.
he makes fun of his kids. It's really cool.
Which is on par, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's his thing.
Well, and-
Literally FaceTimes his kids and flicks them off and says, fuck
in the
you.
video.
or something.
Yeah. But it's just cool that like all that stuff's kind of coming back around.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I think is coming back around too is bands, right? Like there's a lot of bands, and you guys of course have been doing that for 10 years, but like bands are starting to come back in the rock scene, they're starting to come back in the country scene, and it's cool seeing some of that like push forward too, because for a while it wasn't like that. It was mostly just artists, and then it wasn't like the band vibe. And I feel like you guys are, you know, at the early adopters of that, you know, as opposed to like now it's starting to become more of a trend.
Yeah, I can see that as well. There were a lot of bands that we looked up to growing up, are starting in Texas, like the whole Texas Red Dirt scene. Like they were all bands, like you're talking about Josh Abbott band, Randy Rogers band, Jason Boland and the Stragglers, Turnpike Troubadours, 1100 Springs. So like it's kind of been a thing in Texas for a while, but I noticed it like, you know, 49 Winchester, Southall dudes from Oklahoma. Nice. Yeah, it's cool. I'm it's a year and a season up for the band, you know. It's to be a champion for is cool.
It's super cool.
What do you think the pros and cons are of being in a band? Because I know I look at like Brooks and Dunn and they have all that stuff, but you guys have like the hang and the friendship. Being on the road with you guys is just so dialed in. I'm sure it's like there's got to be parts of it that are tougher, right?
That's good to hear. No, like thanks, because I think that's one thing that kind of keeps us all in is the fact that we just started out as friends. Like playing music in the garage at one time was good enough, you know? And then playing that first show over at the Blue Light and everything growing. But that's definitely the pro is the hang. I mean, as far as cons go, I don't know. There's a lot of opinions, you know? So there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen, if you will. So, you know, you got to throw a executive chef on the shoulders and, you know, and just kind of like, hey, let's get some organization here so that we can go somewhere, you know, and have vision and everything. I don't know. So that's definitely an obstacle that, you know, we've overcome through all of that. I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah, that's well said. I never even considered like band artists, like stuff initially starting out was like, to me, it was just like a band is like, you play in a band, you play with the group of dudes. Like it wasn't like a, you know, Cleto Cordero experience or anything like that. It was just like, oh, we're just playing with these guys. And like before there was even a name to it, like you said, just
Cleto
playing.
Cordero experience. I love that.
Well, the solo album. Yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah, a lot can be attached to a name and stuff, but I think after a while, like I said, you're doing it because you enjoy getting to playing by yourself. I said by myself, not with myself there. You know, alone in a room. After a while, you're naturally wanting that companionship and to jam and stuff. And so I think there's that element of, you know, communal experience. You know what I mean? That's kind of driving the ship initially. And like, I come from a big family too, so like just being brotherly and all that stuff comes natural. I'm subservient because I'm the fifth out of 7, so I understand hierarchy and like just serving and helping and stuff like that. And like, it's cool to see us as a band, for it to come to fruition and for the gravity to pull everyone together. And initially, when I feel like we're at that time in our lives 10 years ago, it's like all of our contemporaries at the time are students, and everyone's going to go chase the corporate 9-to-5 thing, and you're kind of pushing against the contrary of like, I know if I do that, I'm going to fucking hate it. But when I do this, when I do this, play with my buddies, I that feels right and feels good. So like just doubling down on that and chasing that, and like I said, jumping over hurdles and obstacles as they come. I mean, dude, for us to be sitting here 10 years later in Music City with you guys is a testament of just not giving up. And you know, there was a phrase I heard at an award show. I think it was Golden Globes, Oscars, something, where the guy said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I feel like that's truly a testament. Like that is hit the nail on the head for our situation, where we've gone really far and we've done a lot of stuff together. You know, we've been idiots together. We've been successful together. We've been whatever. And so it's like, you know, 10 more years we'll be 41. You know, we'll see where we're at.
Yeah.
2041.
Yeah.
No.
It's, I mean, I feel like that with Rage Rowdy.
I think that's the right.
Wait,
it's not the right math.
I'm like, no.
2044?
41 years old, I think.
Yeah,
41
years old. Yeah.
And these surf sides are good.
Yeah, aren't they? And brought to you by.
Cheers. As Cleto would say, salute.
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 Yeah.
Salud. Yeah.
Actually, Jason would say that too.
But that's what I feel like when I started Raise Rowdy, it was kind of like me on the front end and my buddy Jacob was kind of doing the back end. And I wouldn't even put my name on stuff because I'm like, I need this to not be about Nick Tressler. I need it to be about this thing. And then we found throughout the years, some people have, been around for a while and gone, and some people have stayed on. And it just really, for me, it's like, this thing's just about how much I love music. And it's just figuring out a way to be a beacon for that. And then I found other people that are that same way,
Yeah.
And then it's, and so many pinch me moments, especially when I moved to Nashville. But like, I remember Kurt. So I gave Kurt some cigars. Like, that's how I was like, oh, you like cigars? I like cigars. And I sent him like cigars and a Raise Rowdy shirt. And then we were in Pittsburgh and he was playing Open It Up. I think it was a Jason Aldean tour. And came out and like smoked with us and wore a Raise Rowdy shirt on stage. And that's when the program director in Pittsburgh was like, oh, this isn't just a thing I see in Pittsburgh. It's like a thing that's happening. So like big moment. And now like full circle getting him to be a part of this thing with us and with me, and now my best friend also. I love you, brother.
Love you, bro.
But then also, so like moved to town, the radio show, you popping over during that set. And then having the Make Wake Takeover where you guys played full band over at Live Oak for us.
That was cool.
Let's reminisce about that for a little bit.
Kurt's birthday,
Yes.
Make Wake Takeover.
This is so fucking ridiculous that this happened. if you really like think about it,
Yeah, I know. And so I had the plan on starting events in town. I was going to do like once a month writers round, and then Kurt, of course, was into photography at that time. So of course he was like, well, I'll shoot the photos for it because he was around, and that's when he was like the deepest into photography, like starting out, like really wanting to get more chops. So we had done some other takeovers. We did the Big Loud one, which is before I worked there. We did 50 Egg, and we had Ashlyn Craft, who is at 50 Egg and then was at Make Wake at the time. And we talked to Sophia, and Sophia was like, well, let's do a Make Wake one of these. And I was like, sick. And I had never seen you guys play live before. So the first,
really?
So the first time I got to see you guys play live
It's your event.
was at my event. Even though you guys were my most listened to artists of 2019, it was just crazy.
Full circle.
So full circle. And then I remember like we were on the call and it just lined up that the week it was Kurt's birthday when it was. And then we were on the call with Sophia and Jared, and they said that Luke was going to play too. And we were like, what the fuck? But like when I heard that originally they said you guys were going to play 5 songs, and then they're like, well, let's do 7 or maybe 9 it was, I forget. But like you guys basically played like almost a full hour for us, which was amazing. And I'm just like sitting there like, I'm like, okay, did I die during COVID and I'm in the Matrix right now? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
Absolutely at capacity and then some.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was cool because I feel like as a band, it was our first time to like just play in. It was on a Sunday, I believe.
Yeah.
Out on Music Row,
Yep.
close nearby. Was it Live Oak?
Yep.
Maybe.
Yep.
Either way, it was a cool way to see just the culture that happens, around there of everyone coming out and just listening to music.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
And
felt
it
like
was-
it opened my eyes, perspective.
It was right after COVID too, so people were so
Yes.
hungry for live music that like we literally had people come into town from outside of town for it, and like it just filled my heart, but I know it filled so many other hearts in that room too. And I mean, you guys are way too big of a band to be playing at Live Oak on that stage, size wise, just too many pieces. And of
And
course,
popularity, yeah.
yes, and popularity wise too. So it was just like incredibly full circle for me. And then another moment with you guys is when Caitlin did the Halloween show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, those were so much fun.
I love
at the
those.
Basement East. or
Yes,
which one? Yeah,
yes.
this one.
What were you, Goth Brooks?
You're about to say Girth Brooks. I
Yeah.
knew you were.
Girth
No,
Brooks.
I
Goth
fixed
Brooks.
it. Yeah.
That's the one at Basement East, not this past year, which I did go to. The one before is the first time I met Colby.
Oh, yeah,
And you were
yeah.
a hot dog, and I was a giraffe. And I
Yeah.
got on stage with the drag queen, and she's like, "What are you?" And I'm like, "I'm a giraffe," and I was just like wasted. And then I met. Then I told Colby like later. He's like, "Hey, I'm Curry." He's like, "Yeah, we met at Caitlin's thing." And I was like, "Oh."
I was a giraffe then. I was a Kurt.
He's like, "You kept saying you were a giraffe." I'm like, "Yes."
But man, just that show too, because like I'd gotten to see Caitlin then, and I'd gotten to see you guys, but like those shows too that oftentimes you don't get anywhere else except Nashville, that are just silly and fun, and everybody's having the best time ever, whether it's on stage or in the crowd.
Yeah.
It's so powerful, and that's like one of the things that I love the most about this town is silly things or fun things or things that you wouldn't think would happen.
Yeah.
Like we had Lucas Nelson pop up and play a song on Sunday, and it just kind of happened. Yeah, you missed it. Yeah. But like, yeah, he popped up with Brooke Lee, who like they're friends, and freaking played, and I was just like, this town. It doesn't happen many other places. Maybe a few other places, but not often. So I'm just super blessed to get to try to experience some of that, and now have events where stuff like that can happen for other people too. You know,
That's amazing. You
Yeah.
followed your calling, and it's turning into a bunch of beautiful stuff for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, so good for you.
fills my heart more than it fills my pockets, but I hope eventually maybe the pockets will be slightly full. Yeah.
Yes.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 years. What has changed? And obviously some things that stay the same, right? The love and for music and all that. But what is like some of the biggest things that changed? I know you got a record deal now, and you guys are in movies and walking red carpet and all that.
We're still hustling and grinding and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Our management team does a good job
Yes.
of booking us,
Shout out Make
keeping
Wake.
us from working too hard. We're like they're
Have
blocked.
to have balance.
Yeah, trying to find the balance of it is still something that I find challenging. I try to be ultimately like super conscious of my words. So I don't like if I say, "Oh man, it's so hard," then I'm just gonna like programming myself to see everything as like an uphill battle. But it's definitely challenging. But like as they say, if it was easy, everyone would do it. You know. So like that, I feel like we're just navigating new. We live in Nashville now. We're not based in Texas. I mean. Like I said, we're working with a record label now, and so there's other folks that are involved. We still create the music that we want to create and put out the messages that we wish to, but just having a lot of people's opinions, like you mentioned earlier, or at least thoughts or whatever have you, and just kind of sifting through those is trying to find the balance ultimately, simply.
Right.
Yeah.
Balancing life.
Yes.
Working. The work-life balance is, it's probably one of the harder ones. I feel like another big change is as we grow to places that we go, like this year we'll be going our first headlining in Europe over in England. And then,
Dude, congrats. That's so sick.
So great.
we're stoked, and just getting on the plane twice a week. It used to be a huge thing to go to the West Coast, all that stuff. We're always traveling so much that your perspective is totally different as opposed to starting out, in West Texas, where we're both from the band started, and it's such a small, isolated area where you kind of just grow up there and you think it's the center of the world, and then you truly get out and see any preconceived notions of anywhere else, positive or negative, are totally wrong because they're just places, I guess. If that all kind of makes sense, your
For sure.
perspective totally widens about people and what you think they are. Not everybody in New York talks like this. You know what I'm talking about? Eh? Not everyone talks like that. It's just kind of, I don't know. If you listen and keep your eyes open, there's a lot to learn from everybody.
Yeah.
And you find out, if I can put a tagline to it, everyone's got a lot more in common than they do not in this country. And that is one thing I've really stuck to that I've learned over the past 10 years, just traveling.
Yeah.
I love that, man. That's beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Music is a great equalizer too. I think historically throughout time it has bonded people and brought them together. So like for me, it's been a huge part of my life, and I think back on it, and I never was musically inclined, so I never played, but a lot of the moments of my life have like kind of a soundtrack to them, and there's music that you tie to events or times of your life. And so it's like, that is so powerful for so many people, and that's why things like music festivals exist, because you can get that energy. And that's why like large live performances have so much power, because you can catch that energy from it.
Like rolling off that, we played the Railbird Festival on Saturday, right? And the Marcus King, he played right after us, which first, let me go back. The Railbird Festival was awesome. I felt that energy. Like, it was palpable. Like,
Yeah.
I wish my eyes were like leveled up, so that you could actually like see some sort of like energy wave that was coming back and forth. But even seeing Marcus King, he's got those giant orange amps just stacked, like all the dialed up to 10. And you just realize that like, energy is not created nor destroyed. It's strictly transferred, and you can just see it happening in real time from the stage. And that is one thing about live music. That's just a little bit different from, the one in your headphones.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone should go to a live show at least once just to see if they like it.
Yeah.
And
that's for me too. Like, once I get to see an artist or like a band, I'm like, I have a different idea of what it is. Like, I love records, and that's important to me. And of course, I get to listen to that all the time. But the experience and the emotions that I get from a live show is what really feeds my soul and feeds my heart.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Whatever moment happens during a live show where you feel invisible and you're just like lost in the ether of emotions are flowing through you. You're processing stuff. You might hear a song that resonates with you. Like Caitlin calls it a bitch noise, where you're like, you just make like a bitch noise to yourself and your lips quivering. But that's the healing stuff that you're talking about. And, where, like you said, music it speaks to all creeds, all different kinds of people, and it makes you realize that it's not like life is not about just your perspective. It's whenever you share it with others, you realize that, like you said, we have more in common and we all feel the same things. Like, I never consciously thought about that till we played the Pacific Northwest in 2017-18 when Flatland started to branch out of Texas, and people were singing back "Missing You," and I was like, as I'm singing these things, this is before we have in-ear monitors too, so like I'm feeling more of the room and the ether and everything, and I was just like, these days I can't really think and sing at the same time because it's like I'm wearing in-ear monitors and it's just so direct to my brain. But like back then I would be like, what's happening next? Or like I'd be thinking stuff while I'm singing, and I had this conscious thought that was like, oh my God, like as everyone's singing back to you, like that person misses somebody, that person misses someone. Like, we've all felt this emotion, and like after the show's done, like you see people in a new way. You're like, I'm not Cleto and you're, Kurt. Like, we're just all creatures on this earth. Like, have a spirit flowing through us, and that is what we should see each other with. And music does that a lot. It breaks down that other BS, the conditioning. And so you realize, dang, we're all the same. We all feel love, joy, all the whole thing. If I felt it, someone else has felt it too.
Yeah.
And music allows for us to do that without it being cheesy or tense or whatever it is. Somehow it's a medium that allows for things and healings and stuff to happen. Anyways, I digress.
I've heard Cleto say, we're all the same critter. And it makes me laugh every time.
I know who I'm voting for. These two cats right here, for sure.
No, I truly feel that too. And I think there's certain things in the world that can even out the world, right?
Yeah.
And I think music is one of those things that can cause so much positive and make you feel a way that everyone else is feeling. And there's no Republicans or Democrats when you're in your feels in that. There's There's
no need for that.
Yes, exactly. There's no religions fighting against each other. There's just the thing, and that's so powerful. And that's, again, I think since I was a kid, I had older brothers and they just fed me music, So like I got it from, I have a brother that's 13 years older than me and 11 and then 2. So I got like my parents' music, and then I got like my brothers, who I thought were the coolest people in the world. They still are, But and then like my older brother too, who was like really into it. And I was the kid that instead of watching cartoons was watching MTV, just because I love music that much, but also it's the thing where like most of my best friends I found through music, most of the people that I'm still close with to this day, I've bonded with going to a festival, and like you create family there. And part of that is that music and that shared experience. And it's just, for me, it's the most powerful beacon for that. I grew up Catholic, and of course that is important as well. But like the music thing for me, it's not just Catholics. It's not everyone. It's everyone is there for the same reason, all enjoying the same experience, you know? And everyone's probably internalizing things differently, but it's so powerful that you can internalize things differently. So
It's such a cheat code for making friends too.
oh my God.
You know what I mean?
It is.
Yeah.
It's like, I know like there's people that are, you're in your 30s and you got your job and it's like, how do I make friends? You know, it's like, I have a trillion friends, you know, it's like just through playing music or listening to music or, you know, promoting music or what, you know, it's just like, it makes it so easy. There's something about when you play music with someone and it goes well that it just like, your brains just link up together or something.
Yeah. It's a challenge sometimes to make sure that your headspace is in the right way to consume it sometimes, but once the music hits, it's not, you know?
You feel no pain.
Exactly.
I'm ready to go to a show right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I gave you $100 for a ticket, who are you buying a ticket to right now? Just any genre, anybody.
You can't say Luke Combs because
Yeah.
No, I would not say that because $100. I don't know if $100 would get me in the door. I got to pay for parking and beers and all that. I don't know, man. I think some of the coolest shows I've been to, and this is so far out of like what this podcast is that like I've been to a lot of like really cool jazz shows that are just like, and it's like the jam band thing. It's like you're getting such a unique experience every time, and even with songs or you know pieces or whatever that you've heard a million times, but it's like, oh, they're playing it this way tonight. Like that's cool. You know, like there's this trio that I love. They're called Gilfema, and it's guitar, bass, drums trio, and the guitar Lino Leweke is like this African dude, and he plays guitar like no one else in the entire world. Like he's just insane. Like he's so good, and he sings, and I just love them. And when we're talking about all this music talk, that's what was popping up in my brain. So that'd be the thing that popped in my head.
It's like a trio jazz type of fusion.
Yeah, but it's cool because he also sings. I don't know what he's singing about, but it sounds good. You know,
Love it. Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I feel like one of the things that I love the most is getting to see folks in like small club settings, you know, and oftentimes that's the people that are still playing those small club settings. So a band that I love that is actually came and played for us a few times here in town is from Charlotte called Fox and Bead. I would love to take $10 each for 9 of my friends with me and go to a Fox and Bead show. You know?
Dude, that's cool.
There's something special about those small rooms. I mean, you guys have played them. You know, but for me, part of the music thing is like I'll go to a show by myself, but I love going with friends and just enjoying that.
no doubt.
Or I'd go see Limp Bizkit again.
True. I have to go see. I've seen them twice. I want to go see Alan Jackson.
Oh yeah.
Before he quits touring, the only time I was able to see Alan is when I was playing with Michael Ray. We were playing Tortuga, and Luke was playing at the same time as Alan Jackson because he was like, it was before he had a #1 at radio or whatever. But I went and watched Luke instead, so I missed the Alan Jackson thing, which I don't regret because it kind of got me the gig, I guess. But I'm definitely going to. He's playing in Orlando in March next year, and if we're not on the road, I'm going to be visiting my parents and taking them to go see Alan Jackson
In Florida.
Man.
Yeah, dude. Of course.
What about you guys?
Like I said, like if I could bring back any band to see live, it would be the John Mayer Trio with John Mayer, Pino Palladino on bass, and Steve Jordan on drums, which he's pretty much half the reason I picked up a pair of sticks and, you know, just like to play the way that I do, whatever. It's just something that I always go back to. That would be awesome. They put out a live album called Try, and it was at the House of Blues Chicago, which this is post-Continuum John Mayer, so like the dude's selling out stadiums by that point, but he goes back into a House of Blues and rips it.
Yeah.
So
And rips.
I know like Garth did that like dive bar tour where he played like the Dusty Armadillo. And
that
stuff.
would be amazing.
And I know why he did that now.
Yeah.
I love playing the stadiums. I'm sure you guys loved it when we played them last year together.
It was awesome.
But it's like the Dusty when it's like you can't even take your guitar off because the ceiling's so low you have to duck down. And the crowd is just this close to you.
Yeah.
Love it. That's just pure dopamine.
It's the atmosphere.
Yeah. Oh,
of course,
it's
all day.
hot and drink PBR and have a good time.
You bet.
That's like we're hosted at Losers now, and it just feels like a tiny version of the Dusty
Yes.
Armadillo.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's like dirty and like awesome and shitty, but great. You know, I love it.
What's the Dusty Armadillo? Is
It's
that
in Ohio.
It's
Okay.
a club in Ohio,
A great honky tonk.
where's it? Where in Ohio?
Eastern Ohio.
Okay.
Akron area.
Okay.
It's just like low ceiling stage. Like Brett Young was basically touching the top of the stage with his head.
Yes.
And that they're one of the places that is early adopters. So they'll get folks that are like the younger acts or people that are like doing radio tour. They'll come there and play full band shows. It's a cool spot.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are probably too big to play there now, but yeah. Maybe go 2
I love
nights or
those.
something.
I love those spots though
Oh,
too.
it's so fun, dude.
If you guys play the Dusty, me and Kurt are going.
Bro, yes.
You got it.
But the Dusty is one of those spots. So like I was in Pittsburgh, and we would go on a weekend or a Thursday and go see shows at the Dusty, because we'd have a lot of shows that would come to us. But sometimes I'd go to both. I'd go to the one that was in Pittsburgh, and then I'd go the next day to the one that was at the Dusty, because it's far enough away, but close enough to drive and
You're
cheap
such a
hotels.
junkie, bro.
I am.
Dude,
Yeah,
yeah.
music junkie
Die
for
Hard.
sure. I remember seeing the Cadillac
I was
3
just
there
gonna say TC3.
a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a band that we would chase for weekends. Like we'd see the Cadillac 3 sometimes 3 times in a weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're great. Freaking 3-piece that sounds like a 6-piece.
Yep.
You know, amazing.
Trios.
Yeah, and then but they're just same thing. The energy, like you just when Jaren's up there, just like rocking out on an electric guitar front stage, and Kelby's playing the bass and the steel through one instrument. You know,
Wow.
it just has a certain sound to it. Amazing live performance. They're a band that I love. I would probably go see them maybe if I had $100, probably too.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
band you've already seen like 10 times. Yeah.
25, but yeah. I think
yeah.
I'm at like 22 times seeing the Cadillac 3.
There's
Nuts.
something about trios that makes you just feel like it's raw, but like even as a musician, you feel like you can indulge,
Yeah.
you can embellish
You
a
have to
little
be-
bit
you have
more.
to be good to play in a trio.
Yeah, because there's so much space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
It's like I found that out, like Cleto, me, and his brother Philippe, when we started out early days, like we're in like just out of high school. We'd play over at
So y'all went to high school
Corky's.
together?
yeah, we went out
Junior high.
yeah, junior high, Abel junior high Eagles met on B
Go
team
Eagles.
football. Yeah, go Eagles. Yeah, we met out there on the sidelines. I think that's when we officially knew we should not be professional athletes
Yeah.
and maybe something else.
The Daria theme song is playing in my head right now.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah. So,
Beavis and Butthead or something, yeah.
yeah. I was the new kid in town. I'd moved from a little small farm town to Midland, Texas, and I was the new kid. My mom got me a drum set to keep my hands busy, and more or less, he had gotten a guitar, and we just met up. And he's like, "Hey, you play guitar, drums?" And somewhere on a VHS, there's us jumping around in my room, playing
Yep.
"Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana.
Yep.
And if
My
that
first
can be
song on
found,
guitar.
Dude, it's yeah.
It
I
would
asked
be
my mom
amazing.
to find it. That video he's talking about. There's a bunch of them, but it's hidden in the attic somewhere. But I know it's got to still be there. Like
yeah,
they don't
man.
throw away much. So
And there's one that was on Facebook over at your parents' garage. It's like in 10, 15 years ago. Looking back, it's so pure. It's so pure.
dude, it's so
we're
raw.
just yeah, and your dad had that GTO in there covered up. Like, I mean, it is a real garage, and I can't stress enough how bad it sounds.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's just like
Okay.
we're we're
real.
in it. It's real, dude. And I think at the end of the we're jamming Stoney LaRue, and at the end of it, it's just like, man, one of these days we'll look back on this or something. Like, I think that comment was even made within the video. And it was just it's so full circle, so surreal almost.
Yeah, I don't even know what compelled us to like record ourselves sounding really bad. I don't know if it's just like, but that's
Sure,
so-
it was your parents thinking it was cute.
Just because we were, because it was something to do,
Yeah, there's a lot worse stuff you could be doing than that. You know?
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think like growing up watching DVDs like Stevie Ray Vaughan playing at ACL and Mayer Where the Light Is.
Oh, yeah.
Clapton's guitar, Crossroad Festival, and like just I think seeing a lot of great performances. I think subconsciously was like, oh, like let's capture ourselves. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll turn out like magic, you know. But that's part of the stuff that no one ever sees, you know what I mean? I mean, actually, if you go look at the Facebook, you can see it. But I was always wondering if anyone ever would, you know, be like, hey, whether Ray's Rowdy or Whiskey Riff or someone shares a whatever
archives,
15-year-old footage of Flatland Cavalry sucking in a garage.
Disclaimer. Yeah. No, I think like in hindsight, you know, looking back, there's so much more content that just showing who we are today. So it's a great way to see exactly just where it all started from. And then, you know, you get Reed guitar and John on bass and Wesley on fiddle and just everyone that is part of the story. And now you can hear it, you can see it, you can feel it if you're just hanging out with us, you know. So it feels like a team. Some would say even a cavalry.
Wow. All right, I'm changing my pick to Flatland show for my $100.
Yeah.
Get some merch.
What venue is it though? Does it matter? Is it like a small venue or is like us at a stadium at Wimbledon or where?
Red Rocks maybe sounds fun.
I
Or,
just had that in my head.
Yeah.
or maybe it's in Fort Worth in December.
Yes. Dickies Arena.
We already both got dates though, so you don't look for us when the ball drops.
Oh, that's the one thing is like I played a bunch of New Year's Eve shows and it's like it's so fun, but then like when your girl's like standing there like all night long, not doing it, you know, not able to hang out, it's like not the best for the girlfriends and wives and all that. But who's opening? Do you guys have that figured out yet?
I don't think it's been figured out.
No.
Yet. How does Curtis on steel guitar?
Crito's
sounds
on.
very good. Yeah, that sounds very good. Yes, I'm free, so I'm down. Hell yeah.
Well, I've thought about this before as we're envisioning stuff, like who would open up and all that kind of stuff. And one time we played in, it was the barbecue spot just outside of San Angelo, Cooper's Barbecue. It's like the original one. If you ever get a chance to go, it's awesome.
In Cristoval, Texas. Absolutely.
Yeah, like San Angelo is not the most exciting place, or people are like, why are you crapping on San Angelo? If you've been there, you know. But it's not very exciting, but just a little skip away, there's just it like turns into hill country and stuff. And I remember we played at Cooper's Barbecue there, and it was I was so shocked that we were even near San Angelo. But anyways, it was a great show. Afterwards, we get invited to go back in the restaurant after hours, and we're drinking. The Coopers are there, and they're serving us Coors Light beer, and Wesley's sitting on a chair just playing fiddle. Like, dude, like he was unhinged. Like Wesley was. The spirits of Western swing influence were just playing through him, and his buddy Cornbread was sitting there too, playing all those crazy jazz.
No, not him. But yeah, the guy just named Cornbread. They knew all the Western swing, Bob Wills type sounding. It's country jazz at the end of the day. It's very refined sound. Either way,
they were just putting on a show. Yeah, it was. I mean, he was playing all those jazz chords, all that stuff, and they were singing to each other and for each other, but like everyone was benefiting from it and like just having a great time. And he goes by Cornbread, but I was like, man, what are you gonna call yourselves? Like, you should call yourself Cornbread and Gravy. And I was like, one of these days, Cornbread and Gravy to open up the show though at the Nicky, or like intermission. Amazing, just put a square table while they're doing changeover. A square table on the side of the stage.
Yep.
2 chairs. They're not even like, you give me more. Like, you know, they're not being showmen. They're just doing what they did that night, and people would
even an intermission of some sort. And everyone's kind of hanging out, playing cards. There's a little drink here and there, and everyone's almost setting up a scene of how this amazing night went.
It was, truly special.
That would be awesome.
So Cornbread and Gravy hopefully can be on the bill.
Cornbread and Gravy, just playing old standards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm changing my ticket again. I want to go see Cornbread.
Seriously.
Damn, that sounds so good.
But
I love when those jams happen organically. And I just feel like we get away from that sometimes, where it's like, it's got to be like a planned thing, or what are we doing this for? But I've had a few jams just randomly pop up at my house recently, and it's awesome because I just fucking love jamming so much. You know what I mean?
That. It's
my favorite thing.
It's also crazy for me. Like, I've fell into a few of Kurt's and then like other people's too, and everybody's jams are a little bit different, like how they work. Like oftentimes it'll be like a guitar pass around, but like Kurt's has all of his musician buddies, so it's really just everyone jamming on like standards, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, and that doesn't happen in Pittsburgh. I'm sure it kind of happens with you guys like being in that, but just like as a fan getting to experience stuff like that, I'm just like, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
Hearing amazing vocalists sing and amazing songwriters sing their songs, and then even hearing people like play the songs that made them love music, you know, like playing covers too, not just originals.
Playing them just to play them because you feel them and you want to, and not to perform for another, like outside of like an audience, if you will. If there's an audience watching, great, but that's the thing too. I've seen at some jams or like you're at a party and some people are jamming in the corner, but not everyone wants to be involved in that, and there's like a louder noise than the jam, which it's not about like everyone be quiet and listen to us. We're jamming because we want to, and whether you want to be a part of it, great. If not, like, but I just love that of just jamming and playing just to play. Not who cares if someone's watching and someone's not.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten away from that, unfortunately, where before I moved out of my parents' home and became an adult and did all this stuff, and now I have a wife and like responsibilities and things like that, where I would just go home and play my guitar, dude. I'd play it for hours, and I wasn't doing it to impress anybody. It was my buddy, you know. And when I come home on the road, I try to maybe compartmentalize a little bit, but I'm realizing like, or there's been a time Caitlin's told me, like, I would go pick up my guitar and she'd be like kind of like, are we hanging out? Or are you playing your guitar? And so I put it away.
It's a balance, yeah.
It is a balance, but yeah, I miss that so much, and you inspired me to jam more often.
I will say last night I've been doing this thing where I sleep with a Telecaster in my bed.
Do what now?
And so last night I got in bed probably like 10, and I just like lay like on top of my sheets. I have this like huge pillow, and I'll just like watch movies or whatever, and just or not even watch anything and just play. I played guitar till 3:30 in the morning last night, and then I was like, I have a 10 o'clock podcast. I better go to bed. And then it was just like the old days, man. Like in high school, I would stay up so late. I had a headphone amp, and I would plug my guitar in and just sit and play for hours.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that a lot more recently, and it feels so good. Hard to do that with drums till 3 in the morning.
You can always tap everywhere, and yeah, my ADD has always led me there, especially in school, tapping on desks, so we get in trouble.
I used to get in trouble for tapping on desks a lot.
Yeah,
I don't think I have ADD, but I would just, it's like.
Did you ever do this one?
Yeah, dude, of course. And there was a kid with like the pencils and everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Those guys, and then they would have like a bookmarker that was like hologram, and then they'd have a pen that goes. Yeah, dude. There was always that one kid at the cafeteria on a rainy day you couldn't go outside that would just be entertaining people. There was always that one kid that flowed, and either way, it's funny. It's back to the whole music is the great equalizer, no matter what age you are, too.
Yes.
So kids know music too.
Yeah. Well, and that's why you see babies that are soothed by it. Like I remember my brother Steve being like, Logan likes The Wall when I play Pink Floyd The Wall.
The Wall pedal?
The Wall.
Pink
like
Floyd.
the album. And he's like, he just chills out magically. Everything else kind of doesn't work. The Wall, I put The Wall on and he just chills. But it's super cool. I think you're bored with that. Like the sonic waves that hit you from music are different. I don't know exactly what it is. The science stuff, but
I think it applies to animals too, because I had a neighbor back in college that had a dog that was just kept in this little shotgun alley style backyard, not much room to roam. And I felt really awful for it, but it was always yapping because it was lonely. And I went out there and put like a radio station that I tuned to some whimsical station that played like Disney esque music in the background, and I woke up and the dog shut up, and I turned it up pretty loud, not like we're having a party loud, but just loud enough to soothe. And the dog shut up, but the next morning I had to do a little detective work because I went out there and the radio was all smashed to pieces. And then I realized, like, man, we had a knock on our door actually at 3 in the morning, and I think our neighbors try to get us to turn that crap off, and
Yeah.
they jumped the fence and smashed the radio to pieces. And
The dog got real tired of Disney tunes.
Wasn't the dog.
yeah, I don't think it was the dog.
Yeah, it'd be like that. Live and learn. Oops.
Well, we haven't really talked about your guys' music.
Oh yeah.
We should probably do that. Let's. Do you guys have anything in the tank that you're putting out, or any plans, or just the most recent releases?
We have got a song on the Twisters movie.
Yeah,
Which is going to be a thing.
gonna be
That was
amazing.
cool.
So that's like the second movie. You guys were on Hunger Games as well, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was last like November or something like that. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that, because I think this is something that's been in my world a lot recently, because Luke has that thing out, and we did the acoustic version of Wool, and I played on Bailey's Twister song also. How does that work out, and do they give you a prompt to write, or like, could you guys elaborate on that?
So the Twisters movie, that one was, they had sent over like different scenes that they were looking for music for, and like different adjectives like upbeat, whatever have you, which I was curious myself how those were going to play out if they ever came across our desk. And it's like, because I didn't know if it would just worked out. Like, you wrote a song and they're like, oh, this is the perfect song for this movie. But it was more like, we're looking for songs, and we're looking for songs for this scene or whatever have you. And so, which was more information for the Twisters movie than the Hunger Games. It was just a synopsis and then 2 movie trailers, which were already out to the public. So it wasn't any like confidential information, So.
Yeah.
But for the Hunger Games, I think I remember you telling me, like, didn't they say, like, this is the scene and the character's going through this? No, that I made that up in my brain.
Yeah, no, they were just
I've been
like,
telling people that, though, like it's the gospel.
no, all they said was they're looking for something that's in the flavor of like Appalachia, like, and they did reference some of the music we had already released, like songs keep you warm, like Mountain Song.
Yeah.
Like if it feels like that, that's kind of what they're looking for. So that kind of helped me look in the direction.
Yeah.
So
All right. So I thought you said there was something like, were you inspired? So tell me a little bit about Wool, because maybe that'll work back
right,
with my brain.
yeah. So Wool, I got a call from our guy at Interscope and said that they were looking for songs for the movie. Would like to write one? I said yes. So then he sent me over a couple movie trailers and then the synopsis. And I've already seen all the movies. So I'm a huge fan. So like I've like, oh man, like what can I say that's tease it all up and all this stuff. So I was naturally excited. But Flatland had been on the road for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks together, and I hadn't seen Caitlin in that amount of time. And her and I met up in Oklahoma the day before we played last September at Born and Raised Festival. And I got to be there with her, and I felt like I could just finally take like a long sigh and a deep breath. And I'm in a hotel room looking at myself in the mirror, and I just felt like that idiom was kind of, talking to me of. I feel like I could see behind, like the wool had been pulled from my eyes, and I'm like, ooh. I was like, ah. And usually I'm just trusting my subconscious all the time. It's like, I think that's the word, and just started writing down everything that came to mind with that word, and what it made me feel, and all these different images. And then I went to bed later that night, and in the hotel room, and I got up. It was like maybe quarter after midnight, and I told Caitlin once again, hey, I got to go open up the case, but I'm telling you, it's going to be like, I have to write this down right now, or I'm going to forget it. And so I opened the guitar case up and played that interval, do, 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 because that's what I'd heard. And I thought it could be maybe more like, it felt like that band Lumineers or something. Just I knew it was in some kind of flavor, but it was that interval that was talking to me. And so then the next day at the festival, kept writing and put them together, and I just sent like not a work tape, but just like whatever I had recorded that night to our guy at Interscope, and I said, is this in the ballpark or the flavor? And he said yes. And so by the time it came to us, they hit me up on a Wednesday, and they wanted to record it the next Tuesday, but that didn't happen. They gave us a Tuesday after that, but I was kind of stressed out, like, to come up with something, but also it's like, I don't know if that's where art comes from, a place of stress. So it was kind of just whatever was flowing through. But I'd seen the movie, so I wanted to throw a reference into snow in that verse too, about like almost innocent, like fresh snow falling, which happened to sync up to the storyline of that movie in particular. It's about snow.
That's right. Falling from grace, essentially, right?
Yeah.
That's so fucking cool, man. That's awesome. I love that song.
It is great.
And it was fun. You know,
Thank
we
you.
cut our little acoustic version at the house.
With Charlie or?
Yeah.
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 We love
And-
you, Charlie.
Yep. Oh yeah, love you, Charlie. And I was playing this dobro solo. Let's see if this thing's in tune.
Ah. Same interval.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And I forget how I was playing it, and Caitlin was there because we were cutting stuff with Caitlin too. And she was like, "Hey, do it more like this." Bo-na-doo-doo, bow, bow-na. I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm going to use that." And so she was like producing me on it.
Yeah, man.
So sick.
That's great.
And speaking of production, didn't Dave Cobb produce that, right?
He was.
have
It
so
was
many
Dave
questions
Cobb was
about
over the phone producing.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool to hear him. He had called me. He'd heard the song. Eventually, they let us know. I sent it to him, and I didn't hear back from him 3 days later. But I was of the opinion and feeling of like, hey man, if it's meant to be yours, it comes back. If it's not, like, you know, nice try. You know, good luck. But he called me back 3 days later, and I got to talk to him, and he said he dug it and was telling me all this stuff. How he, you know, man, I could hear it going like this, and I'm trying to write it on a little notepad. Like, I didn't ever used to do that. I was just trying to remember it all, but I was like trying to remember keywords and stuff he was saying because I knew he wasn't going to be there the day we recorded it.
Yeah.
But it was Mark Neal was the producer on site. His handle's at Soul of the South, and he's a great producer, and he was awesome to work with, man. Just so very wise, very like calm tempered. I remember like he's like, all right, well, it's you never know how it's going to go when you work with new producers and stuff, and you know that ultimately you're trying to capture the essence of the song and the message. And he's like, play for me the song, and I played it for him, and without a capo, and like try to do this, you know, trying to sing and play perfectly in time and everything. And he goes, man, let's try it on a different capo position, because if there's any resistance in your hand at all or fretting hand, it's going to show up in your voice. And so that was a wise note that I took note of, and capoed at 5 and just strummed the chords simply. And he's like, that's where it needs to live. And so that song is like a performance, you know what I mean, of just capturing that. And that's kind of how Mountain Song and those were born, where we tracked the
Just
the
really up
performance of
close and personal recordings
On tape too, right?
on tape.
Yeah.
And another thing about Mark Neal too, it's on that particular recording, all I was really doing is having a cotton ball stick on a tom and just goom. You can barely hear it. Either way, I'm in the other room just like tuning it up, whatever. And then I see, you know, Mark just kind of hanging over the piano, talking to Cleto, and like pretty much emoting, like getting. Cleto had already played 2-3 times like what he was going to do, and like he was working on the emotion of getting it out for the performance. And I was like, all right, this is like a real old school producer. It felt like almost asking him questions like, have you ever lost anybody, or have you ever, you know, known anybody? I can't exactly, I'm not sure exactly what he said, but you could tell he was working on getting that emotion in the performance out, and not catching the right words and the right chords. I don't know if that made sense.
For sure.
Yep.
And I feel like that's what a good producer does as well.
He was good in those terms, and also in a technical sense too. Like whenever they were in there, like taking stuff out of the EQ and stuff, he's like, let's remove 14K
Frequencies, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was like surgical, and it was amazing because it's starting to come to life, and it's like to see it come to life from like we were just in there tracking it to like they're playing it back and they're enriching they're enriching the sound, but also the other guys are like, all right, let's add a little bit of piano. And a funny story is Adam Gallegos, our piano man, showed up. He was in town getting ready for his wedding, and he was literally went in there and he played just one note on the keyboard.
Boom. Whatever, like
a
a
bass
yeah.
note?
Yeah.
But just those little things is what made the track feel so haunting, and like, when you listen to it loud, it's so you're in that universe, you know. And so it was a great experience.
That's so cool, man.
It's one that, as they say, it's like, man, we've been training our whole lives for this, you know. It's like
Exactly.
luck is what opportunity and preparation or whatever meeting up,
Yep.
and that was it was fun because it was just like awesome. I love this franchise. Always wanted to try to write a song for a movie, not just like have one like get picked and put in there.
Yeah.
And so it was a great experience. I think it's really helped us to like get Flatland's name to millions of people that are like,
Yeah.
who's this?
Yeah.
So
That's like the power of that thing, right? And if you think about before TikTok existed, before YouTube existed, right? Songs you'd hear on a movie got to the masses, especially a movie of that caliber, that franchise, you know? So having that door open to so many new possible fans, and then of course the song has to speak, and it spoke, you know, and that's super cool. And I'm sure you guys have seen increases in socials and ticket sales and all of that stuff residual from that. It's powerful, man.
very much.
The different forms of medium, you know. So you have the music, you have that on streaming, but having that tie to something that's in a movie and the emotions they felt from that visual medium is like a music video on steroids, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and contrast that a little bit with the Twisters one, because did they give you more of a prompt like for the tune, or is it?
Yeah, this one was more like it was an email chain that had like some stuff of like, once again, for a couple of different scenes they were looking for songs for. I sent it over to Reed and Jason. They came up with some song ideas and stuff, and then I was just following, once again, whatever was trying to speak to me, because it's good to have as much information as you can, but also like just listen to the muse, you know, when it comes down to it. It's like, what does it want to be? And so, yeah.
I feel like if I was a really good songwriter, which I'm not yet, but I feel like it'd be fun to be given like that challenge. Like, here's the scene, or you know what I mean? Like, kind of, because when you're looking at a blank page, it's like, at least for me, it'd be like, shit, there's nothing on this page. You know, but if there's a tornado on it, then you're like, oh, well now we got something, you know? Well, like,
Yeah.
Or it'd be like a fun like writing exercise in my brain, I feel like.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Just high stakes. There's no really any stakes involved, but you know what I mean? It's like, I'd done a bunch of those exercises. There's a book called Writing Better Lyrics that I'd recommend to anybody. Is this the camera that we stare at when I talk to them?
Yeah, or that one, either way.
Read
You
Writing
can stare
Better
into
Lyrics.
our eyes also if you'd like to.
But Jason got me this book when we were still living in Midland together in Midland College, and dude, I remember. Did it have? I have the book itself still, and it has like dirty water stains and stuff on it. I'm not sure if you pulled it out of a dumpster or something.
Yeah, no, what I did is we were coming out of a party from Earl's grandmother's house, and it was late, you know, and I had just fumbled it and been raining that day, and it just like went into the gutter, and it was all muddy. I was like, hey, dude, I saw this book at Barnes & Noble. Here, you go, you know, either way.
Had
it might
some
have been for your
character to
birthday.
it.
Yeah.
It did, but I whenever it came down to it and down to the wire, when I needed that book more than ever, it absolutely
That's cool.
has helped out so much. So thank you for that. I'd
Well,
recommend
yeah,
it to anybody.
I think I have it right now. You pass it along back over to me as
Did
soon as you know, trying to get into a little songwriting here and there. But yeah, I got it over at the house too, and it's awesome.
There's writing exercises in there, like write a
Sure.
song about, you know, Surfside or Cigar Box or whatever
Yeah.
have you, and just fearlessly writing whatever, you know. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's, I don't know. There's so many different ways to make music, make art, all this stuff, but like, to me, their songs are like a distillation of an emotion.
Yeah.
It's locked in melody and rhythm, and so it's like we can just write songs to write about anything, and that's always fine and dandy. But it's like if it speaks to someone, it's, you know, sensible, and it's like takes them to some place that they've been before.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't know why I find that so addictive. I just
Totally. And just like locking into the universal theme that everybody goes through certain things of sad moments, happy moments, new moments, everything.
Yeah.
But it's just a different flavor as time and culture goes on.
Yes.
So there's an unlimited ways to say the same thing that's always happened.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they bring us back to why music brings everyone together, because once again, everybody has felt those emotions or felt those times of loss,
Yep.
or been that time where they just want to, you know, run around in circles or whatever. But yeah, just locking into the universal theme of just the human experience, man.
yeah, words truly are powerful, and each
Yeah.
one brings to mind an image in someone's mind, which they associate with an emotion and a feeling, and so it can truly change the way you feel just by listening to a song. Like you said, when it's Friday and I want to, you know, not think about work, you know, I'd listen to Alan Jackson or something, Good Time, 5 o'clock somewhere, and you're like, dude, let's go. Like, whatever that is, it's a switch you can turn on, and it's a gift that's been given to us. Like,
Yes.
Thank you, Alan.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And
Thanks,
I
good
talk about
songs.
that too. I'm like, listen, like I remember when FGL was in their heyday and everyone was like crapping on them. I
Sure.
was like, listen, dude, if you go to a tailgate and you turn on an FGL record, you were having a good time with your friends. You know,
If you're on a boat going
Yes.
40 miles an hour
Yeah.
across Lake Tahoe
Yeah.
and you're going to like crack some beers and just blast that, you're telling me you're going to have a bad time?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's what I was remember talking to my friends, and I was like, when I think of FGL, I think about my friends that weren't country music fans that would go to a show with me, and we would take a party bus to it, and we would just have the best tailgate ever. And then we were inside, and everybody knew all the words. Like, that's not a bad thing. Is that music the most loved in my heart? Probably not. But I still love it, you know, and I still have it attached to so many great moments with my friends and with like my people. You know, there's different music that lives closer to my heart, but like
That record right behind you, underneath the Bud Light.
dude, but honestly, for me with Dick Down in Dallas, like that came at a time of like COVID when everything was like
No
shut
pun
down.
intended. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. But when Trey gave me a freaking platinum plaque for it too. But because we were the first people to post it. But that time for me is the coming out of COVID, right? Like we were in that thing where everybody was at home and everybody was like taking things, in my opinion, like very seriously, right? And it was like, felt like, is the world going to be like this now? So a song like that is silly and like obviously whimsical and quirky, you know?
And a
Totally.
banger.
Yeah, and melody's great.
Yeah.
But like it helped get me out of that stage of my life. So that like when I think about the end of COVID, I think about DDID, you know?
Hilarious.
4 years later, it's still, you know, a song that a lot of people listen to. And for me though, it's like, and also my first show back after COVID, like real show in front of a lot of people, was Trey's show. And it was 1,200 people. And it was like, I felt whole again, having live music performances back in my life where I could go be with my friends and enjoy that experience, you know?
I remember our first show after COVID, like Carolina Country Music Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Just bonkers, bro.
Nuts.
It was just like, I don't know how many people were at that show, but we were headlining it like on Saturday night.
Probably
it was
25 or 30,000.
Yeah, I was just like, after just being afraid to be around people, it just felt incredible. It was so much fun.
We had done that same festival, I guess 2 years ago, maybe last year.
Great festival.
It's in Greenville, South Carolina, right?
Myrtle.
Myrtle Beach is that
Okay,
one.
I'm thinking of a different
But
one.
Greenville
then.
has a festival in it too.
Yeah.
It might be by the same people. I think it is. I think it's
Okay.
ran by the same company.
I just remember it might have been kind of the same time you're talking. It was another one of those festival moments like we had at Railbird the other day, and I think we played Hank had done it this way, and Cleto plugs in on that. Is it that Strat you plug it into? Or is that Telly?
It's at 335.
That 335, yeah. There's a long catwalk, and then it's one of the last ones we did, but still just ripping out there and just this. My whole point is this dude doesn't plug in enough, and I think you should, and I think that
Your lead playing has gotten a lot better, dude. You're
Thanks, dude.
shredding now, especially when you guys play the blues stuff.
Thanks, dude.
yeah.
You've been working.
It's near. Thanks, man.
shows.
It's really close to my heart and soul because I identify as a guitar player first before any singer, songwriter,
Yeah.
whatever have you. So it just takes you back to just fucking off, you know, passing
Yeah,
the time.
Dude,
I do
Stevie
know.
Ray Vaughan in the garage, man.
Yeah.
Just going back, being from Texas too, not enough people talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan anymore
Yeah.
in the 20-year cycles, whatever. I think some blues might be long
back.
overdue.
Marcus
We actually-
King.
Okay,
Yeah.
Marcus King. There you go.
We
But I'm
actually-
with you. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We sat down with Cam Marlowe, gosh, I guess 2 years ago now. And he has some like really bluesy stuff that he's like,
Cool.
what do you guys think about this? You know? So I hope that does swing back.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
all the different genres of music and this new age that we're all walking into. I think like whether it's country, blues, folk, whatever have you, like they're all. I mean, everyone has the whole encyclopedia of music at their fingertips through the streaming services and what have you. So it's like I feel like this whole generation is being just what's the right word? Just influenced by every generation before them, whatever you want to listen to. So I think that's going to show up in a lot of. I hope so. And bands and stuff. We talked about bands earlier. Just bands putting out different emotions of songs, whether they're folky, rocky, country,
Yep.
blues. Like, yeah.
I've been
Fuck yeah.
super stoked about like the rock kind of seeping back into country, and like bands are starting to bring that a little bit too. I feel like, because it's not just the lead singer, it's the band. And dude, there's this band called Silly Goose that sounds kind of like Limp Bizkit.
Dude, they're sick.
Dude, they're great. They're like rap rock, and then
Silly Goose.
dude, they're great.
Are they silly? I mean, like
They
what
are
the song,
silly, yeah. Dude, so they like will go to bands that they love's shows, and then they'll play 3 songs in the parking lot right after the show, and they just try to capture that before the cops come. You know what I mean?
Dang,
So
that's
it's super
rad.
cool.
That's pretty rock and roll.
It is, man. And it's like
Guerrilla
rock and roll
marketing.
is starting to like kind of come back. There's this band. There's actually like a pretty good rock scene in Atlanta. That band Fox and Beat I talked about is from that area. There's a band Frigga 5 that I'm trying to get to come up to Nashville to play that has like a little bit of Incubus vibes. So it's like, it's neat. I'm like, did your dad teach you this? They probably did.
Yeah.
But it's like cool getting to see other elements, and then getting to watch like bands like old 60 pop, like their first Nashville show with us. So it like felt super cool now seeing them. And you remember that they're raw as hell.
Yeah,
you
dude.
know?
Super good and super green.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
But it's kind of like neat to see that,
Yep.
and get to watch it develop.
Yes.
You bet.
The singer spilled his beer on stage and was just like, "What do I do?" And I was literally just walking around the bar with a bucket of beer. I just walked up and I just gave him a beer and just like, "Oh, thanks, dude."
It was so fun.
Guitar player broke a string,
Yeah.
and over the mic in the PA, he's like, "I just broke a string. Just." And he's like freaking out. He's like, "Just stall them." And then like one of the buddies is like running to bring him a string. I'm like, just start the song without that string.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hadn't figured that part out yet.
It was so cool.
In the heat of the moment, and when the pressure's on you, you're like,
Panicking.
Yeah.
Is there any moments that any of us, like when we were starting out or just on stage, where
One comes to mind when we played College Station at the same place, Harry's.
R.I.P. By the way.
First drum,
Yeah.
right? It's gonna get turned into a parking lot or something.
No.
But
call it progress?
Some people hate that place or something. I feel like I thought it was like Harry's, and someone's like, I'm not gonna miss it. I was like, I had so much fun there.
yeah, I think I wonder if it's just like a collegiate, experience.
Yeah, they don't like
Yeah.
A&M or
A lot of people had their first, like sugary shot there, probably.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
their first 2-stepping lesson. But
On,
either way,
on the plus side, I mean, it did serve as a music venue for the Texas scene and stuff for a long time. So like,
bet,
kudos to that, and to get to play there really was like at the time, especially like a dream come true, because Randy, all these bands once again were playing there and are still playing there, and it's like you're getting to directly play to the Aggies, which is another market that was like a home away from home for us starting in Lubbock. When you're 8 hours away from where you're from and you go to a place and there's actually topography and trees and water and nice people and they're like supporting what you do, it's like, hell yeah. But anyways, I digress. But
I miss College Station. Yeah.
me too, dude. It's a great place. But
yes.
we were at Harry's one night and I strummed the first string and it just broke, and I didn't have much faith, unfortunately, at the time in our road guy that was there on the road with us, and I couldn't imagine taking my guitar off and handing it to him and him knowing how to string it and doing all that stuff. Like everything in my psyche was like, just do this yourself. And so I said, "Hey guys, I just broke a string. Just give me 1 second." And I walked off stage. It'd been like 30 seconds into the show starting. And I just walked off stage, and I think you guys were just probably there like,
No,
what did y'all do?
I think we got off with you and just like, hey, you turn the lights off. Like, we're just gonna start this over. He said, "You guys deserve better," which was like, all right, cool, yeah. Like, we're gonna tune up. We're gonna make sure, and yeah. And I guess you had a string that broke or something, and then we come back out and they scream just as loud, and we started the same way, and it was like, game on.
There you go.
Yeah, it
to
wasn't
the
that
races.
like
Yeah.
panicky or nothing, but at the time it was like, oh shit. I mean, these guys keep talking about Code Brown, which I don't
I don't even know what
All right.
that is.
Code Brown is essentially if Cleto has to take a number 2 on stage,
I mean,
like
I
that.
just
You
left the
can't,
podcast to go pee,
straight
so-
up.
Yeah.
So like we all fantasize about what song we would sing. Reed's is Vince Gill One
We
more
sang on the
last
cruise.
chance. Yeah. And I was talking about what was mine, "The Wait" by the band Big Lee Von Helms. Fan. Who would it? Wesley would probably sing some Fraulein, some Bob Wills, some old, Texas swing, and then Boofy would probably just, I don't know, play some Bruce Hornsby or something.
Yeah, shred.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
I'm sure you guys could occupy some time, but however, they keep talking about it, and I'll hear them in the front lounge like, man, I'm like, dudes, stop trying to make Code Brown a thing. It's never gonna happen.
Manifesting
If you
it.
want to play a song, I'll just take a break for 20
I'll go
minutes.
get a beer if you want to sing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're just gonna have to do it sometime, not even have to go, and just exit stage and be like, "Hey, boys, Code Brown, roll."
Yeah. You want to talk about it? Be about it.
Yeah,
that would be
dude.
hilarious.
Call 'em out.
Man.
So hopefully it's not in my when I'm wearing white pants on stage.
Yeah.
I remember one more story on just being super green. I remember one time we were still living in Lubbock and we were playing at the other place across town. They called it The Office, and we were opening up for someone, but I don't know if it was just a long day for me or too many beers, whatever. We get on stage and we're side stage and they're about to call our name, Flatland Cavalry. And for whatever reason, instead of logically taking the stairs, I go in front of the stage.
Walking super cool.
Walking like stages like this and just
just awkwardly.
just awkward. Yeah. No, like for some reason, like not even to make a moment, but just like, Jason, what are you doing? Like, and didn't even realize.
It was
brain
too
just
late,
shut
dude.
off.
Yeah. I had a girlfriend there at the time, and we broke up a couple weeks after. That probably,
Yeah, she
she's
saw
like,
that. And she's like, I'm out.
I'm out. This goofball, man. But yeah,
What if I got you like a gold penny or like one of those like Susan B. Anthony like quarter silver dollars that whenever you ever do something ridiculously dumb like that was really insensitive. But you just like, oh, I shouldn't be here, and you just like drop it out of your pocket onto the ground. You're like, oh, dude, I picked up this Susan B. Anthony. That's what I was doing. No,
Yeah.
I tried to stop you. I was like, no, and then you were like 2 strides in front of me, and I was like, how is this gonna happen? And then you just like,
I just remember not even thinking about it until I sat down and someone had said something during the show, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was a good icebreaker.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Man,
Either way.
there's being green, but I still fuck up sometimes. Luke doesn't listen to this podcast probably, so I'm not too
He's
worried
too
about it. But we had the other day, it was like Luke usually would talk in front of the song, and I'm over there like tuning my fiddle, like I'm a beginner fiddle player, so I have to like be ready to start. I can't just like, I have to like sit and focus and stare at my hand and like.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, all right, here we go. And then Jake was like, 3, 4. And my tuner's still on. So I had to run over and like kick the song off and was not in the right finger position for that in the stadium. And it was like a ballad where it's like the fiddle is like really loud. And it's just like, I listened back in the board tape and I was like, maybe it wasn't that bad.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, Todd, our front of house guy, Todd, was like, yeah, I just turned it down. I was like, thank you, Todd.
Oh, yeah. Todd gets the big bucks for
That's
that.
the sausage being made, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ugh,
Well,
brutal.
but it's humbling, right? And you realize, like, oh yeah, I'm just a human being. I'm figuring this out.
Nothing humbles you like playing fiddle in a stadium when you don't know how to play it that well.
Yeah, man.
This is not as cool as playing the fiddle, although it does involve getting to sing with your boss Luke on the stage. But at catering, I had sat on some like cherry pie filling or something, and this fancy, my little fancy pants that I wear.
Yeah.
And I went out there later, and then Nando had taken a picture, and I look at the picture the next day, and it looks like I had just had a little drop of something right in the middle of my ass.
Little doo-doo, little Code Brown.
I'm
Little
like,
Code
damn,
Brown.
can't even look cool next to Luke Combs.
Oh, man.
I promise it's cherry pie feeling.
Right.
Well,
Man, I miss having y'all out. That was fun.
It was fun, dude. All the time.
All the
in
homies.
And the
well, it
still.
sounds like you might
yeah.
be with them on New Year's,
Yeah, I'll come play with you guys.
Come on.
Hell yeah.
To play fiddle.
No. Oh, well, maybe we'll do
Second
3
fiddle?
I'll play third fiddle behind Reed.
I think we're gonna be in Calgary.
Oh, that is right. And some Canadian shows. Okay, I'll see you guys in Canada. Hell
Yeah. Country Thunder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I think that's the only one we have though. But
Do we need to plug anything? What do we need to plug here? If we're getting towards the end.
everyone
we
looks
did-
at Liz.
I'm trying to think.
Whatever.
No, we've talked about everything.
Yeah. I mean,
Europe, the shows,
Oh yeah, Europe.
Twister song,
Toys.
Yeah.
history. I think we're good.
so Red Rocks.
Red Rocks.
That's gonna be crazy, stupid, awesome, amazing.
Who's on that show?
It's gonna be Texas legend Randy Rogers band,
Sick.
and they were in, which is awesome because saying we grew up in an isolated area where Willie Nelson and Randy Rogers and amongst another few were the only people coming into town. So that was your first show, like live show to ever go to, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's full circle.
17.
Full circle,
Yeah.
and then doing a show with him at Red Rocks, which is legendary.
Yeah. I got my only Red Rock show I was at was Luke. I got to see Kurt up there.
Did you drink a lot of beers?
All of them, yeah.
Sweet.
Plus, they just hit you different when you're there.
Infinite beers.
Denver in general, but like up there,
Yeah.
with the thin air, and I mean, man, just spiritual. Talk about a spiritual venue.
Truly.
That place truly is.
The word mystical came to mind when I saw it for the first time. It's like you see pictures, but whenever you see how grand it is, and you're like feel so small, you're like it makes you do that little bitch noise.
Bitch noise. Have you all played there? Just not headline.
Yeah,
The case?
Yes.
with Lainey Wilson. That was last
great.
November or so. We got to open up for her, and
I remember.
magical.
Meg, her tour manager, was like, "Hey, this is a big deal. Do you want to come and play with Lainey?" And when Flat was playing, I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I do." But we were flying to Europe like the day after it, and I was waiting for Meg to. Never heard back. I don't think they ever brought anyone else out. But I think it was like that would have been so cool.
That
So
would have been
great.
so
I
cool.
know, man.
But headlining, it's going to be so sick.
Yeah,
It's going to be legendary.
in October, a nice crisp air. October
Yeah.
7th. It'll be a Monday.
Which I have this coming to mind coming up. We talked about 10 years, all that stuff. There's the bar that we got started out in Lubbock was the Blue Light Live. Monday night was Songwriter Night. It's like where you go to cut your teeth, do all that stuff. For us, 10 years later, to go from like Monday night at the Blue Light to playing to, Lord willing, selling out, Red Rocks, getting to play there, whatever.
10,000, yeah.
If 2,000 people show up, still dope. Probably not good for our books or for whatever, but we were imagining it like sold out or whatever. But it's like that is so incredible, it's so amazing because it's like just a testament of not giving up and just being persistent. And so many times that I'm sure all you guys can attest through your journey of Raise Rowdy and you as a musician, where you're just like you could have just quit a billion times in the last 10 years. Just been like,
Been
nah,
close.
fuck this. I don't want to do this, but something about sticking it out and watching all that is possible. And it really makes me curious for the next 10 years. Like what
Absolutely.
all, like use the word manifest, it's like do things manifest faster as everyone becomes aware and aligned of that anything's possible. Sometimes even earlier on in this endeavor, I'm not saying I don't ever wake up without worry, doubt, or fear in my consciousness, but it used to plague me a lot more back then. I'm just like, should you be doing this? Are you blah, blah, blah? And it was like, it's such an enemy of joy and peace and all these things. And I just trying to uproot that. You talked about this new chapter or what is it like in this next 10 years? I just feel like canceling out those enemies and just like making things happen as they should. Not like, I'm going to make it happen, but just not letting worry and doubt and fear hinder me, hinder it from happening sooner. Why not enjoy a good day today or enjoy this moment right now?
Yeah.
I think like setting goals too is super important. It's like I've always had the goal of like being able to pay my bills without having to work in a freaking restaurant.
Yeah.
So now it's time for some new goals, I think.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's
Red Rocks and it's like arena shows and streaming numbers or whatever. I'm sure you guys have some stuff like that picked out or will soon.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's a journey too. So I'm sure like as you have this goal for 10 years from now, what you think that'll be, that of course is going to change as it goes, right?
Mhm.
The world's going to be changing. What's happening is going to be changing. But
Mm-hmm.
the key is having that same fervor and having that same emotion to push forward, you know?
Yes, sir.
And simply everyone that supported the last 10 years, just living life with them through music and almost like growing up. I mean, there's people from college that we were playing to our peers around a campfire or a small stage that keep up and just growing up and living life with them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel that in a way. See a lot of familiar faces coming back in Texas or just where it be, just staying connected with people as we all go about our lives,
Yeah.
which is a really cool thing.
Agreed. So as you guys have talked about, and that was some of it, but you know, we talked about a lot of bands coming up in the scene now. Like, what, if any, advice would you give a band that is just kind of starting to do the thing?
What's the movie that said the worst vice is advice? No. Man, I got this from, I watched a video with Randy Rogers, who, as Jason said, was my first concert. And so I like looked up to him. I still do. We just played with him a couple weeks ago, and he's going to play with us at Red Rocks. It's truly amazing. It's like, I listen to what he says, and I try to abide by the wisdom that he's lived life longer than me. And so I try to learn from that. And he had said the same question, like to an aspiring musician or whatever. He's like, first and foremost, you got to be honest with yourself, and if you have that God-given natural ability or talent, I think that is, if you have to have some of that, you know, and work with that and hone it and work on yourself and continue that. Like he said, that was like the prerequisite, and then second would be like, get to work, you know, go book yourself 5 days a week, 6 days a week. If you're not, you know, no one's going to want it as bad as you, but he's like, if you're doing all the work, but you don't have the other thing, you might be, it's like me being honest with myself. I was not created to play baseball and to be a major league pitcher. So I'm not going to try to sidestep and get into that genre, but it's like, be honest with yourself. If you got that feeling, you got the drive, you got the talent, keep yourself busy, work 6 days a week and go work at it every single day, you know, and things will start to keep your eyes open, your heart open. Use what's nearby, use what you got, you know, and make the most of it.
Cool.
That comes to mind.
Well,
I think he covered most, if not all, bases. Really, no, but I
That's
mean,
Randy. Yeah.
on top of that, I think learning to have your own personal mission, doing anything really, but having your own, you know, with this, if you're going to be on the road, it's not all smiles and fun all the time. Sometimes you got to wake up at 3 a.m. from the hotel from 2 hours of sleeping to drive 8 hours just to get on an airplane, whatever it may be. Sometimes it may be your first giant show and you're scared, or, you know, just understanding why you're doing this is, I think, crucial. And it is going to keep you doing it, you know?
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
keep the love for the music.
Yeah.
Keep that fire burning. Keep
Exactly.
The faith, yeah.
Whatever.
Mhm.
Why you started it, that feeling, sitting on your bedside playing guitar, or just whatever that emotion, just don't keep that the center. And as you grow, it's harder to keep it at the center. But yeah.
I love it. Well, I'd like to say congrats on 10 years. Congrats on Red Rocks.
Yes.
Congrats on the arena show. Congrats on the houses. New
Thank you.
homeowners. And congrats for being on our badass podcast.
Dude.
No, I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. So
Years.
thank
Same.
you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
dude.
Seriously,
Call you
it's been
guys
a joy.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
It's been
been
a lot of
amazing.
fun. Let's just keep talking for 3 more hours.
yeah,
I got
right.
nowhere to go.
Well-
I have a question for y'all. How many of these have you done here in this location?
I guess probably about 20 now.
Okay. So
Maybe
like
a little more.
few
Pretty
dozen.
beginning of the year, probably February is when we started, and
Yeah.
1 or 2 week.
Yep.
So in that range.
It's a really great spot. It feels really cool. Happy
Yeah.
for you, proud for you guys, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for asking us to be a part of it, and happy
Anytime.
to help out however.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, we're super thankful to have you guys and appreciate it. We know it's hard to line up more than one person too. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for
Hey,
making
man.
the time to do it.
You got
Well,
it.
I'm Nicky T.
Thank y'all.
Kurt Ozon, and we'll see you on the front
Front
row.
row.
Thanks, boys. Love you all.
Love you too.